Welcome to the shadowed hearth, a place where calm voices meet chilling tales, where every whisper, every echo, and every forgotten place has a tale to tell. There was a time before dares, before carloads of teenagers crept down the dark stretch of Riverdale Road with headlights lined up like nervous candles, before people rolled their windows down just to prove they could breathe the air. Long before all that, there was a house. A mansion that crouched behind the trees like something ashamed to be seen. Even in daylight, the place felt wrong. The pale stone walls sagged under their own weight, as though the structure itself were tired of existing. A wide porch wrapped around the front like a desperate hand gripping the earth. And the windows? The windows stared outward without blinking. Flat, lifeless, reflecting sunlight in dull rectangles that felt more like eyes than glass. Birds rarely landed in the branches above the property, and when one did, the silence that followed seemed to press against the world itself. But the first thing anyone noticed were the gates. Black iron, tall, twisting upward from the soil like the ribcage of some buried beast. At first glance, they looked like tangled vines. Look longer, and they resembled flames. Look longer still, and the shapes became ribs, curling inward to cage something that should never breathe. Not in winter when frost split fence posts across Thornton. Not in summer when heat warped metal signs along the road. Even snow melted strangely at the gate's base, hissing softly as if the earth beneath them exhaled warmth. People whispered that the iron had been pulled from the ground itself, smelted somewhere far from town, claimed by something older than property lines, older than law. No one knew exactly when the mansion had been built. Some said it appeared overnight. Others swore it had always been there, waiting, watching the road, watching anyone who wandered too close. Then, one summer, someone moved in. It was late August. Thunderstorms rolled across the Colorado sky in slow bruised waves when the moving truck arrived. The man who stepped out smiled politely at neighbors who watched from their porches. His smile was small, careful, but his eyes seemed fixed on something far beyond them. He had a wife, though few people ever saw her clearly, and 2 children. They were heard far more often than they were seen. The wife appeared only twice after the first week. Once at the grocery store. She pushed a cart half filled with cleaning supplies, bleach, soap, paper towels. Her face was pale and distant, like someone moving through a dream she could not wake from. The second time was late one evening. A neighbor, driving past, saw her standing on the porch. She stared out through the iron gates toward the empty road. Her hair moved slightly in a wind that did not reach the trees. The neighbor slowed and lifted a hand in greeting. She did not wave back. She did not blink. She simply stared. After that night, she was never seen again. The children were different. Their laughter drifted through open windows at strange hours, long after midnight, and sometimes just before dawn. At first, the neighbors tried to ignore it. Children laugh. That's what children do. But the sound never rose or faded the way laughter should. It just kept going. Like something inside the house had learned how to laugh, without ever needing to breathe. The neighbors told themselves it was nothing. Children behave strangely when they grow up isolated, and big houses can twist sounds in odd ways, carrying laughter farther than it should travel. Still, the explanation never quite settled, because there was something in that laughter, something restless, something that didn't sound like joy at all. Then the smells began. Smoke, drifting along Riverdale Road on nights so still the air felt frozen. But there was no fire. Thick grease clung to clothing and hair, stubborn and unnatural. Fine gray ash settled on windshields beneath cloudless skies. Neighbors discovered soot on fence posts, on porch railings, even on the backs of their hands after brushing past the property. It was everywhere, and yet nowhere. Dogs refused to pass the gates. Even the most stubborn hounds dug their paws into the dirt and whimpered. Horses reared violently when riders approached. One woman was thrown from her horse and broke her collarbone. Later, she claimed something warm had brushed against her ankle, something that felt disturbingly like human skin. Trees nearest the mansion began losing leaves early. Edges browned and curled like paper held too close to flame. Yet the ground showed no scorch marks, no lightning strikes, no fire. Just silence, and windows watching. Then, one night, the sky burned. The roar came first, a deep, concussive sound that rolled outward from the earth itself. Windows rattled along Riverdale Road. People stepped outside just in time to see the mansion ignite. Flames did not creep up the walls, they erupted. The structure folded inwards, as if something inside had finally exhaled. Windows glowed white hot, and in those windows, neighbors swore they saw shapes, silhouettes pressing against the glass, arms raised, faces warped by heat. One by one, the windows shattered inward. Yet through all of it, no screams reached the road. The fire roared too loudly. By the time fire trucks arrived, the mansion was collapsing. Beams snapping, roof caving, porch dissolving into flame. But among the ruins, there were no bodies, no bones, no trace of the wife, no trace of the children. Only the man. He was kneeling just outside the gates, his hands blackened to the wrists, skin cracked as if he held them inside the fire itself. Yet his clothes were untouched, his hair smooth, not a single burn on his body, and he was smiling. Not wildly, not hysterically, peacefully. Over and over he whispered the same words. "They're warm now." The land never recovered. The debris was cleared, the foundation buried. Grass tried to grow, but it came up thin and sickly. Trees bent inward over the years, branches reaching toward the center like fingers probing a wound. The iron gates remained. They never rusted, never sagged. Chains placed across them were found broken by morning. Padlocks twisted open without tools. A steel bar welded across the doors softened like wax overnight. Eventually, people began visiting. First, curious locals, then thrill seekers, then carloads of teenagers armed with flashlights and bravado. They called it the Gate of Hell, and the name stuck. At night, the air changes near the gates. Sound dulls as if the world itself is holding its breath. Crickets stop singing. The wind dies in the trees. Even your own breathing feels muffled, wrapped tight against your chest. A pressure builds in your ears, insistent, dry, unnatural. And then, warmth brushes against your skin where cold should be. Sometimes you hear it. Footsteps, crossing floors that no longer exist. Sometimes a woman whispers, "Please." Again and again until the word dissolves into breath. And sometimes the children laugh. Thin, rolling, too close. Visitors claim they have seen shapes inside the gates, small figures holding hands, bare feet blackened, skin shimmering like heat rising from asphalt. Their faces are smooth, unfinished, and when they smile, the smell arrives. Burned hair, charred wood, something sweet and rotten beneath it. Some people swear the world flickers if you step through the gates. Trees vanish, weeds disappear. The ground smooths into polished wood floors beneath your feet. And suddenly, you are standing inside a hallway that should not exist. The walls breathe warmth. Wallpaper curls like burned skin, and footsteps follow behind you. Slow, patient. If you turn, you see him, standing at the end of the hall, tall and still, his face wavering like something seen through heat. Behind him are shapes, small, crowded together. He never chases. He simply opens a door and waits. The gates stand cold. Footsteps echo where no floors remain. Children laugh endlessly, and the fire beneath the soil waits. If you enjoyed tonight's story, don't forget to leave a light on your way out and a like before you go. Subscribe to the Shadowed Hearth for more whispers from haunted places, lost souls, and the echoes that never fade. Until next time, sleep softly. And if you hear a sound in the dark, it's probably nothing.